It's okay. It's all right. I'm going to clear up this thing about Belinda. Belinda said that she came and she said that I was crying and I blamed myself for it and that I wouldn't let police in my RV. Well, the reason why I was crying, Belinda, is I blamed myself for not getting up that morning and seeing the kids. So even she is pointing out here in her language that there's a difference even to her between getting up and hearing the kids and getting up and seeing the kids. That's fascinating. That's a fuck up. You blame yourself for not getting up that morning and seeing the kids, but you just went through this whole spiel of how you heard the kids outside playing. So which one is it? You didn't see the kids? Because whenever they're outside, I'm usually out there. I'm the one watching those kids. I watch those kids out in the yard every day. Man, that's a hell of a thing to sit there and claim as though we're supposed to give you some sort of sympathy when the kids are gone. And you're sitting there carrying on like an idiot. Even if the kids were outside every day of recent, you couldn't help not be out there with them because you live in an RV in the fucking driveway. You're the only one that walked out of that trailer on their own accord, honey. Jen Nova, good to see you. Malaya was doing her interview. She should have stated her mother-in-law heard the children. Not they were outside playing, but we didn't know that at the time. That's a big statement that sticks out to me. Because she's getting across that she needs you to believe the information without any actual evidence. So how did you come to the conclusion that the kids were outside playing? Who decided that for you, Malaya? The kids were outside and you just weren't aware of it at the time? Why don't you tell us what happened? You're drifting in and out of sleep. Listen, cut the bullshit. Where are the kids? It's probably what Haley was thinking at the end of the driveway. Everybody was thinking, cut the bullshit. Something's not right. Something's not right. And it had everything to do with that weirdo Janie that's looking and peering at you behind the trees and the RV. Not introducing herself to anybody. She has obvious contempt for Malaya's side of the family for whatever reason. That's a little off-putting. That stands out a bit. It stood out that day. Absolutely. These children didn't just vanish, trail hiker. And you can stick it into a generality and say children just don't disappear, just don't vanish. But in this specific situation, in light of how the parents are acting and behaving, it's obvious to the RCMP who's responsible. But on top of all of that, they've got to come out with this even more cockamamie absurd behavior and drawing sympathy from the public on their behalf to help themselves and their own ego. They're at home shitting over what absolute strangers think about them at any one time. It's affecting them. Like you don't have the decision to turn something off or not watch something. Janie's even using the term unalive. She can't stop watching YouTube. She used it second nature, almost by accident. Well, it was by accident. A helicopter grandma. Thank you very much for the super chat, darling. No, you are amazing. Oh, shit. I'm not that amazing. It's because I have... You got to put yourself in the right places to make yourself look good sometimes. Yeah, it's obvious to anyone that Malaya and her family and friends are guilty. Who wants to do the pleasure? Who wants to ban that motherfucker from my chat? Sweet Tea, do you want to ban Tracy Cook? Or are you being sarcastic? Are you being funny? Is that a ha-ha joke? We don't have to worry. We don't have to worry at all about Malaya's side. Not at all. Malaya can tell us what happened after we figure it out. How do the three of you sleep at night, says Kim Elton. How can you do this to two little kids? In my opinion, you're all twisted and evil. Well, it all starts with Daniel rearranging Janie's life. It all starts with Daniel stalking chicks on Facebook dating, moving in with Malaya after 2 weeks. How long after that did she get knocked up? And it sounds like Ron McKenzie, or whoever Janie's brother was on that message, sounds like he doesn't like kids to begin with. Just talking about how they need to ship the kids out and get rid of them. Have you guys gotten rid of enough kids already? None, Mayflower. We can't handle the truth, Tracy? Okay. I don't know where Sweet Tea is. You guys can't see him? You must have all the important people blocked. Well, I'll do the fucking honors then. Why don't you suck it, Tracy Cook? You dumb fuck. Bye-bye now.
Fuck you! Shut your fucking mouth!
That's right.
No problem, John. Shut the fuck up, you cunt!
That's right. Let me see. And I'll tell you something else. And I don't care if you believe me or not. I would never, ever, ever let anything happen to those kids. Which kids? I watched them for 2 years. I've seen them day in and day out. What went on between Malaya and Daniel has nothing to do with me. See, that's a very important statement right there in light of what Daniel's coming up and being charged with there, Tracy. You fucking retard. I live here in the camper. They live in the trailer. What went on in there is none of my business. And when you have, like, how much more indication do you need that there's shit going on in the trailer that she is choosing to ignore? This is an admission. I live here in the camper. They live in the trailer. What went on in there? What went on in there, Janie? You keep speaking as though you're hiding all of this information. relevant to Danny's old pattern of, what would we call it, rapine. I live here in the camper. They live in the trailer. What went on in there is none of my business. And when you have to call your kids or Jack and Lily's mother and tell them that Jack has his boots off and Jack has his coats off, does that tell you that Malaya was watching the kids? So don't come down on me because they weren't my grandchildren. See this? That says so much in this case. But I do consider them my grandchildren. And they're always lying, especially to one another. This is not a happy family situation. They are not normally content and satisfied with life. And they're always looking for somebody to blame for that.
The beginning, though.
With all the bullshit that's put out there. The bullshit. There's absolutely no need of it all. Stick to the facts. You guys got to stick to the facts.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I listened to this in the car earlier. And my daughter was there too. And before, I showed my daughter the picture of me as a dog. And she said, don't share this. And then she said, yeah, it's kind of funny. And the dog is handsome. You can go ahead and do it. My daughter's 8, by the way. And she asked about you, Janie. And I played her how you talked about Jack and Lily. And I showed her you talking in that interview. My daughter said, oh my God. Oh my God. That woman is scary. And she used witch and crow. Which, again, you know what? Let me say it like this to you. The way you speak about Jack and Lily, people will never forget that. They will never forget the heartless way that you spoke about these 2 missing children. People will never forget this, okay?
When we look back on it in months' time, you're going to recognize just how bad Janie gives herself away in all of this. She couldn't lie properly. She couldn't hold back. She's not her normal self. One, she's acting, and she's doing a poor job of it. And she's desperate. The desperate part isn't an act. But it's such a bizarre thing for her to be trying to talk to somebody and crying over a message. It is so ridiculous, isn't it, Sweet Tea? That's what makes it intriguing, Janie. That's what keeps people coming back, trying to figure you out. Everybody knows that you're lying. And people are intrigued as to what that means. Well, it definitely has something to do with what happened to Jack and Lily. And the information that you're not coming forward with. Yet again, you've got a real history of not reporting crimes and felonies that occur on your property. Isn't that interesting? Wow.
And now I'm going to show another example in a minute, just how Janie is changing her intonation.
Facts of what's going on. Not the way we fucking live. That
She wants to be able to play the victim card, people. She wants to be in the category of victim. She wants to have immunity. And the only way she thinks she can get that.
Well, you would have to think just by looking at things that Janie choosing to have moved out of her trailer and Malaya and the kids moving in and taking over the space, she getting out of that situation tells me that there's a power offset there on the property. It shouldn't be you getting out of your own trailer when somebody else moves in. If there's an issue, it should be them moving the fuck out. And Janie probably doesn't disagree with me. If anybody, you should be living in Kent's old broken down RV in the driveway. Not Grandma. Not Janie. Like, how exactly does that work? No, I'm not that confused. That's the answer. It's a self-explanatory scenario. Janie, as much as nosy as she is, really doesn't physically have any of the power or control on that property. And everybody around there loves to rely on violence to get their points across. There's probably some fear between Janie and Daniel to a degree because she knows how unpredictable he is. She talked about how yelling is common state over there. Daniel's often yelling at Jack. And she never thought anything of it, remember? That's one time. But Daniel talks about how they would only yell at one another and raise their voices when they were arguing. So here he's acknowledging the fact that there's problems going on already, and he's minimizing it. But yelling in that sense. Janie can hear all of that stuff. The stuff that needs to be ignored, that she turns another cheek from. So there's a form of elder abuse going on here as well. Would anybody else agree? Janie, being the elder, is a victim in all of this, a victim of Daniel's tirades and abuse and just lack of humanity in this situation, and digging themselves deeper and deeper to a point of the children are no longer alive. There's one person that's out of control on this property, and it's Daniel. And it's because of the substances that he was pumping into his system all of this time. The substance abuse problem that Malaya talked about in a message to Belinda about acknowledging, knowing about the day that she went in to be induced with Meadow, or before. That is a scenario that Janie is going to be ultra sensitive about. That's a scenario that is wrapped into the reason she's out there in an RV to begin with, talking vicariously through Tucker. She's in some sort of bizarro world out there. And a lot of it has to do with fear, I would expect. She's not really all that bright. But there's a reason. Maybe she really did put Daniel in her other Jordan. What's his other? Yeah, Jordan, isn't it? Daniel and what's his brother's name? And his brother on the title. Well, that would be a struggle that she's probably not going to win in the long run because she's getting older. But again, they probably coerced her to put their names on the deed to that portion of land. Justin, it's Jordan. I don't know why that was stuck in my mind. Thank you. My mind had a glitch. So there's a large, I believe, and part of this bullshit story and this need to help Daniel comes straight from fear. She doesn't want to have to deal with the embarrassment. She doesn't want to have to deal with the things that she's going through right now. She's got no choice. There's not going to be a positive outcome when it comes to not having an involvement for them. It's not going to turn out the way that they want. This is the things that they're hoping for. There's no fucking possible way that everybody on the property, the stories that they gave was anywhere acceptable for the investigators on scene. Had to stick out like a sore thumb to them. Doesn't matter if it was your first day or your 31st year.
is by telling you how much she is suffering. But she doesn't realize that at the same time, the way she talks about Jack and Lily, it's victim blaming. I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry Janie, but you will never understand what it is I'm doing. And therefore, you will always be fighting what I'm saying. Because you yourself would ignore what I'm saying, because you wouldn't get it. You can ask your son, I think he gets it.